Well guys, it's a damp, wet and absolutely miserable day in January. I'm out for a walk at a spot not very far from Lough Key Forest Park. You remember we did a vlog from there during the summer when the weather was a little bit better, and I stumbled across something pretty curious. I think I'd like to share it with you. This is Roscommon countryside, and it's a very rural area. And then in the middle of nowhere I came across this bridge, and I thought, that's a little bit too ornate for somewhere so remote and laid back. And it's a bridge over a disused canal. And if you look down there, you can just about make out a lock chamber. And just on the left hand side, you might be able to see the recess for Lough Gate. And then I remembered stories of an old canal up along here that would have belonged to the Rockingham Estate. I was only reading the other day, the house up in the Rockingham Estate was burnt down just over 60 years ago. That's the canal there behind me. And I'd often wondered where it was. So purely by fluke, I'm after stumbling upon it. And this canal is a short run of canal. It goes from Lough Key on up here to a spot called Keel Lake. And there's a little harbour up there as well, in what is now a Scouts Jamboree area. But what I didn't know is that there is a lock on it. So what I want to do now is get in there and try to pace out or measure out that lock, and that would give us an idea of how big the boats were that went through this canal. So here's the bridge. We're looking from the side of the canal. I don't be able to measure how wide that is. I might try and pace it out though. When I get up, I take a line, say from the centre of that to the centre of, you see that column there and that column there. That will correspond to the width of the canal. That'll give me an opportunity to measure the width of the canal. The stonework is in surprisingly good condition. This is really an ornate bridge. It's such an amazing thing to see in the middle of nowhere. Look at my boots. This is. Somebody want to clean up all the muck here, wouldn't they? So guys, here we are just on the other side of the lock chamber now. I'm after measuring the distance across, just approximately from the top of the bridge, and it appears to be 14 feet wide. That's surprisingly big. Now there's the recess for the gate, and you can tell looking at that the end up here is square. The end down here is curved. So the gate hinged at this point here and would have swung out like that. So that was the upper level, that was the lower level. I wonder how long it's been since the last boat went through this lock. I don't know why, but I find these kind of places absolutely awe-inspiring. So at the moment it's the middle of January. We've had a very wet winter and the water levels on Lough Key are very high, and I suspect that the water level at this stretch of the canal is at the level it would ordinarily have been for navigation. Over across the field here there is another archway which may have been some kind of overflow, I'm not sure, but there's no track through the field anymore, but it's probably been lost to agriculture at this stage. So here's my thoughts on it. The water level that we're looking at here is the normal level that the canal would have held for navigation. However, ordinarily Lough Key would have been a lot lower than it is now, and without the lock chamber being in place, the water level in this stretch of canal and indeed in Keel Lake would have all reduced to the same level as Lough Key. So I would reckon that the lock chamber kept the water levels above the lock at the levels we see at the moment, and then you would go through the lock and drop down to the normal summer level that Lough Key itself would normally hold. Isn't this just lovely? I'm absolutely delighted to be able to see this. I really am amazed by it. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that is a lovely shot. Looking into the past. That's my little window into the past. And the beautifully ornate bridge. Wow, I've enjoyed this. So guys, just to give you an idea of whereabouts in Ireland we actually are. We're in Lough Key, and the portion of Lough Key we're in is Rockingham, which is down here in the bottom right hand corner of that lovely island studded lake. And I think, by the way, that this is one of the very few examples of a private canal. I certainly am not aware of any other private canal that has a lock chamber on it. That's the canal there, and she follows the path of that river as well, just to the left of it. It comes up here. That's the bridge in the centre of the shot there at the moment. The canal continues on up here, and that's Keel Lake on the right hand side. And what you cannot see is that the canal actually continues on into those trees, and the harbour is there just behind the clear area, which is the Scouts Jamboree area. So guys, that is the canal at Lough Key. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a little glimpse of the canal at Lough Key. And from a little research I've done, that there's not a whole lot of information out there on the internet. But this canal was built to bring turf from the bogs up at Lough Keel down to Rockingham House, which is kind of that direction out onto the lake. So the boats would have been terribly large that travelled this canal. There probably wouldn't have been too many of them, because if they're only bringing turf. Now maybe there was agricultural boats brought as well. I have absolutely no idea, but I would love to know. So if you know, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click the round subscribe button. It's at the top right hand corner of your screen, and tick the notification bell. That way YouTube will send you a notification as soon as our next video is out. Cheerio!